for you. How about our director? Is Kaare still here? There he is. And with Ty. We've got at least two of the producers here. Birkett's here. Do we have Rob Merrily? Is he here? And do we have Dave Villeneuve? Not sure. If you're here, come on up. We have the writer, I believe. Paul Birkett, is he here? Come on. And we should have the lead, the guy who played Bruce, the guy you never want to see on a plane with you, especially if he's got a comic book. That's Landon Liboiron. Is he here? Now we can't see very well, so if you have a question or you want to make a comment or address it to anybody, put up your hand. We'll try to spot you. There he is. No comic. Did they really destroy your comic? Was that a real weird story? I cried. Such a waste. There's a man here.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about the genesis of the idea? I mean, when it got going, and the process?
Can you hear that at the back? He's asked where the idea came from, the genesis, in fact. We'll give it to either the writer or the director. The writer.
Well, I always loved, contained thrillers. I mean, generally, when you try to make a living as a screenwriter, you have to write a lot of low-budget movies. Contained thrillers are kind of the bread and butter of the low-budget film world, I guess. And I always loved movies like Cube and Dead Calm and things like that. And so I thought, no one's ever done a contained thriller set on a really small plane before. Why don't we try that? So I wrote a spec script. Well, actually, I did Ian first, and he thought that sounded interesting. So I wrote a spec script, and we all agreed that it had some promise. And so Ian, when he went back from the CFC in Toronto, introduced me to Kaare. And we wanted to do a project together, so we were tossing ideas around. I just mentioned I had this existing script, and I think Ian gave it to Kaare to read, and Kaare didn't hate it. And so we thought, yeah, let's try to develop this. So, 40-odd drafts later, we made a movie. It came out of our joint love of, I guess, Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, and, the original script was a lot more Twilight Zone, a lot less sort of creature action stuff. It was much more of a sort of pressure cooker, not pressure cooker, but a surreal kind of Twilight Zone-y sci-fi thing. And then as we rewrote the script, we gradually turned it into more of a fast-paced, constantly moving sort of action piece. And it became more about the monster, more about immediate threats and that sort of thing, and less sort of existential, I guess. Which is probably a good thing, because I probably went overboard on the existential stuff in the early draft. Oh yeah, we did save the Sartre in there, yeah. Thankfully. So yeah.
I'm just wondering how your background as a comic artist may have influenced you, or how is that in your process as a director?
Yeah, so I believe that's my good friend Matthew Sinclair asking a question he probably already knows. Thank you, Matt. First, let me just say thank you for sticking around to the Q&A. I've been to these Q&As, and many times people just rush out during the credits, and you had 8 minutes to rush out, and you didn't, so thank you very much. And thank you for all the crew that came to see our screening. I saw a lot of friendly faces. All friends of mine, both personal friends and the film friends. Sometimes they're both the same people. Really appreciate the support. My background is comic books. Even though I grew up making movies, animation movies, whatever, but I've been drawing comics for 12 years for Marvel Comics. And I thought I would take a break to do this movie, and in the process ended up drawing all our comic book props and pages and novel covers. So there was no break from drawing comics. But I use drawing basically to communicate. I draw a lot of storyboards, and it's really the simplest and clearest way to communicate your composition or shot or visual effects to people you work with. So it comes in handy. And that's kind of how I applied it. Lights are very bright.
Hi. Okay.
are there any other like not really serious sort of things, but building another like Twilight Zone sort of I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Just like I don't know, different weird stories like this that kind of do you think you might be doing another one?
What do you think, Paul?
Do you have any more in the books?
You mean another movie like this?
Yeah.
I think I'm done with plane movies. This is actually my second plane movie that's been produced, and I've got another one that's in development hell and has been for about 10 years. That one's a vampire on a plane. So I'm totally sick and tired of plane movies. I never want to see another plane set or and I'm sure these guys will agree with me.
There's actually our composer, Jeff Simischek, had a very interesting take on our story. He thought that perhaps knowing the plane was in mechanical straits and in danger, a selfless creature from above was rescuing passengers one by one as they OD'd, or as they were outside hanging off a rope, or as they were like doomed to die, and so that, you know, maybe that creature would appear in a fire in a high-rise or something, you know. I think there are sequel potentials there.
Part of the same series, like another weird story sort of thing.
Well, I think we're all fans of the old school Twilight Zone. Not an official, but I'm sure whatever, you know, especially these brothers here come up with next, will fall in line with like that kind of sci-fi fantasy world.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you have a backstory for the creature? Like, tell us about your creature. I'm sure there's
A backstory? You mean like in terms of a design sense?
What is it?
Well, I call the creature the Stam, which is the shark-toothed anus mouth, because I had to ask myself visually, what is the scariest visual imaginable? And for me, that's an anus. And then I thought, well, how do I take that to the next level? Well, if that anus was lined with shark teeth, that might be even more scary.
After that, I have a boring question. It looks fantastic, so I'm just wondering how you, what was the process to like get it made, and what was your eventual budget?
Yeah, those are the two questions that are always asked at every Q&A, I believe. Let's just be honest here. A lot of us are filmmakers. Ian will hate me, but our final budget was like 3.6. We had 3.6 million. We had 20 shooting days, a day of aerial shooting. And how we came up with the money was that we shot a concept trailer. We pretended the movie was already made, and we shot a trailer for it one day. Ian funded it. We shot in Chilliwack, and then we just sent out this trailer to various companies, and we immediately got, we got an offer from Maple to buy the movie, and we were like, that's just the trailer. There's no movie yet. You can give us money, we'll make the movie, but that didn't work out. But immediately we got interest from LA, and then realized we were Canadians and we had some money available from Telefilm. We came back to Canada and hooked up with Dave Vallot and Rob Merrilees and turned it into a truly Canadian production. And they introduced us to Telefilm, and we got a lot of support from those guys, and very thankful. I've got a question here. Landon, who did you take to this screening tonight?